Welcome to the DevOps Institute DevSecOps Practitioner sample exam. This is a preparation for your certification. The setup of the questions is very similar. Okay, so we're going to start, and I'll walk through the questions and the answers and give my opinion of the answers and make sure that the course, what the course expects as an answer. By the way, there are a couple of questions here that you'll find that I think are incorrectly answered, but I'll point that out. The main thing, though, is if that happens, make sure you know what the answer is that the course is expecting, because that's how it's going to be graded. All right, so the first question, what's an example of an actionable DevSecOps metric? So developer satisfaction score is more of a developer experience measurement, so that's not a good answer. Vulnerability recurrence rate. Now that could very well be a DevSecOps metric because it's measuring vulnerabilities, and DevSecOps is all about trying to prevent the new vulnerabilities from being deployed. So B is a good answer. Deployment frequency is something that can be correlated to DevSecOps performance, but it's not directly a specific, DevSecOps metric. Similarly, project timeline completion is not really a DevSecOps metric. It's more of a product management metric. So the best answer here is B. And the course agrees. So B is the answer. Vulnerability recurrence rate. Okay. The next question. Question 2. Identify the missing words in the following sentence. Three states associated with quantum computing are supposition, interference, and just a second here. SQL is actually a dual. Entanglement makes sense. That is a associated with quantum computing as a state. Combinatorics is not a state, or neither is cryptography. You can use quantum computing to help with cryptography, but it's not really a state. So the best answer here is B, entanglement. Yeah, and the course agrees with that. Yeah, so the question 3 is, which pillar of DevSecOps emphasizes cross-functional collaboration? So automated security testing is not about collaboration. Culture is. So B, DevSecOps culture makes sense. C, proactive risk management, not so much. Continuous monitoring, not about collaboration. So the best answer is B, DevSecOps culture. All right, let's go to the next slide. Which comment best describes JSON? Okay, so JavaScript object notation with Java only to program security functions. That's difficult to read. JavaScript object notation to allow communication between monoliths and microservices. JavaScript object notation for co-located solutions, or JavaScript object notation with a text-based format to transmit data to web applications. So the best answer here is D, JavaScript object notation with a text-based format to transmit data and applications. JSON is, in fact, a lightweight text-based data interexchange format, and it's language independent, but widely used in web applications to transmit structured data between client and servers. It's not specific to Java, so the answer A is certainly not correct because it's nothing to do with Java. Well, even though it has J in the name, while JSON can be used for microservice communications, the answer per the answer B, that's not its core definition. It's just an example use case. The JSON is not limited to relocated solutions either. In fact, its strength is transmitted across distributed systems. So therefore, D is correct because it captures JSON's essential role, a text-based standard format for transmitting structured data, and especially in web applications. All right, let's go to question 5. Identify the missing words in the following sentence. Infrastructure includes all of the hardware, software, blank, facilities, and so on that are required to develop, test, blank, monitor, control, or support IT services. Okay, infrastructure includes containers. No, containers can run on infrastructure, but they don't include infrastructure as part of infrastructure. So A is already not a good answer. B, networks, yes, and required to develop, test, and deliver, yes. So B is a good answer. C, communication is not part of infrastructure. So C is not a good answer. And D, applications are also not part of infrastructure. They use infrastructure, but they're not part of infrastructure itself. So the best answer here is B, networks and deliver. Okay, question 6. When trying to determine whether your workers are happy based on how they view their daily work, what type of analysis should be used to gain their feedback? Okay, we're talking about analysis. So qualitative is in fact a type of analysis, and that would make sense as an answer. Replicability has nothing to do with analysis, something you want to have in your results, but it's not part of the analysis. Surveys are more of a tool to get results, and then you might analyze them, but they're not part of analysis. Quantitative, this is more about soft things that are not so hard numbers, so quantitative wouldn't be a good answer. So the best answer here is A, qualitative. Okay, question 7. What does the DevSecOps pipeline phase plan typically include? So the first answer, automated deployments. No, that's not part of planning, that's part of deployment. B, security compliance reviews. No, that usually comes long after planning. C, mapping workflows and requirements. That indeed could be part of planning up front. And D, building and testing code. No, it'd be more like middle of the pipeline. So the best answer here is C, mapping workflows and requirements. All right, let's go to sample question 8. Which observability tool emphasizes event-driven metrics and uses multiple panels to correlate items? All right, so A is in fact a graphing tool, a popular graphing tool that's often used with DevSecOps. So A, Grafana is a good answer. Prometheus is not a graphing tool that does that with multiple panels. Kraken is part of Git. It's not, again, such an event-driven metrics tool. And Jenkins is more of a CI framework for automation. So that's certainly not the right answer, even though it does have sometimes some dashboards, but it's not really an observability tool in general. So A, Grafana is the best answer here. Okay, let's move to question 9. What is the common problem associated with bad infrastructure? A, collect real-time data for decisions. Can be. B, develop and launch solutions. Not normally, I wouldn't call that a fault of bad infrastructure. Challenging to collect meaningful data, that indeed could be. You've got infrastructure that's not well identified or something. So C is a possible answer. Lack of orchestration. I guess that could be more of a problem with the inability to control infrastructure. But I think A and C are better. So just let me think about this. Yeah, I think the best answer is C, challenging to collect meaningful data. Why? Infrastructure often leads to fragmented, unreliable, or incomplete systems that make it difficult to collect or analyze useful data. So without the data, you're going to struggle with monitoring, troubleshooting, and decision making. The other idea was A, real-time data for decisions. That's actually a benefit of good infrastructure, the way it's written. So that wouldn't be a problem with infrastructure. And I already explained why the other two answers are not the best. Okay, let's move on to the next question. 10, what does a heartbeat do when used as an observability tool? A, activate when CPU utilization drops below 70%. Not normally, that's not a heartbeat, but that's a metric. Could be. Can I keep an eye on? Reaches out to make sure a tool is running. That's more like a health check rather than a heartbeat, because the direction of flow is from some central place to get information. C, provides a regular signal from a running app. That's almost the definition of a heartbeat. But not some central point know that you're running okay. And D, use correlation IDs to verify repeated asks. So that doesn't have much to do with it. So the best answer here is C, provides a regular signal from a running app. Yes, of course, agree with that. Let's look at sample exam question 11. What is zero trust architecture in DevSecOps? Answer A, an approach that avoids trust gaps by continuously verifying. Yeah, that's almost the definition of zero trust. So A is a good answer. B, a method to trust only developers. Well, that wouldn't be very nice or correct. So B is no good. C, a system to reduce operating costs. No, it has nothing to do with costing. And D, a framework for software delivery. No, it's nothing to do with that. So the only answer here that really makes sense is A, an approach that avoids trust gaps by continuous verification. All right, let's move on to question 12. Which tool is commonly used for monitoring infrastructure and pipeline health? Certainly A, Datadog makes sense, and it's often used for that. Jenkins is more of an automation tool for CI. Sneak is actually a commercial tool. Yeah, I guess it could be used in that way, but Datadog's a better answer. Terraform is more of an infrastructure as code automation. So here the best answer, I believe, is A. And the course agrees, Datadog. Okay, let's go to question 13. What aspect of Kubernetes makes it difficult to observe? All instances are managed by third parties, A. That's not true necessarily. A is not a good answer. B, only one set of logs, metrics, and traces typically exist for the stack. Not always true. That's B is probably not a good answer. C, the immutable state of orchestrated activity. That would make it difficult, I guess, but let's see what the D is. Each cluster can be interpreted separately, rapid changes, and there's no centralized application data. Well, that's a stronger answer for sure with Kubernetes as an orchestration engine. Yeah, so I would say D. See if the course agrees. Yes. Okay. Sample question 14. AI is intelligence generated by machines. What type of AI would best be suited for household cleaning? A, specific. Could be, because household cleaning is a very specific activity and it could be automated through AI. So that's a possible answer, specific. B, quantum. No, it has nothing to do with quantum. C, general. Potentially it could be, but general AI is not really available yet in the general sense. So I think C is not as good as A. D, algorithm based. No, A would be better. So I think the answer should be A. The course says G. No, sorry, general, which is C. That's when you probably just have to memorize, because honestly, I would say the better answer is A. Yeah, they say it's C. So remember that.